know what I'm supposed to do.
Look, Daniel, how can you let this happen? You need to get back on your feet.
You don't think I know that?
What do you think about the experiences of young people from South London that lead to mental health difficulties?
Well, I feel that it's not just the parents, but it's the environment that young people are in that contribute to mental health issues. There's a lack of support and things to identify their needs, and it can cause them to fall into negative situations.
Do you know, there's a lot of damage that's done in young lives, particularly in London, in inner cities, up and down this country, other Western countries as well. I think, do you know, when we look at the experiences that people have, which leads to them going to a certain point or getting, how do I put it, their life going down a particular journey, there's always cause and effect. For me, my experiences and the experiences of others that I know, things like homelessness, poverty, violence, trauma, all of these things kind of boil up. And then they trigger the effect of you, how do I put it, not quite being yourself or even becoming other than yourself a lot of the time. We don't call these things mental health if they're not diagnosed, but all of us have a mind, and it's either healthy or it can be unhealthy. And then when someone gets a condition, it's just that the level of unhealthiness has gone to a certain point where someone can actually diagnose it. But young people go through a range of experiences that leads to that, to their minds becoming unhealthy at a certain point.
You stupid boy! What were you even doing out there?
You don't love me anymore.
Get out now!
So what challenges do young people face within their thoughts and their physical well-being if they don't look after themselves?
Like, maybe if someone sees another person and they're like, they're happy, they're this, they look like this, then can make that person feel jealous. No, not jealous, like, feel bad about themselves.
Time to start fresh. I'm just stepping out the end.
Fresh out the slabber, I was serving crack. Old school days, man, I had the packs.
Done with that.
I'm way too
Done.
man.
Walk out the cell.
I'm Jerome Saul. I'm one of the co-founders of Therapeutic Production, CIC. I've built a lot of interventions, managed a lot of interventions to help people who are from disadvantaged communities. My role within that organization is I'm effectively the CEO and someone who engages with our partners, with our funders, and helps to lead some of the different delivery teams that we have that deliver our services. We also exist though, and came to exist for a different reason as well, in that we see the power of art to actually, how do I put it, heal people from damage and also elevate them on a personal, spiritual and whatever level to become the best versions of themselves.
I think, again, trauma is something that's held in the body. I think it can, and I think the creative way of dealing with that is unique to the creative therapist. I know Claire is she was a dancer and a creative movement therapist, and I like to use that kind of thing in my practice. It's really getting rid of that energy, you know, because trauma is just locked away energy, and when you find a process of releasing that, it's telling the story that energy holds, and I think that's the beauty of drama therapy for me.
I say like joining a community studio that helped me use my music to let people listen how I feel.
I kind of want to play with the word therapist a little bit, because I like word play. As a drama therapist, I like to inquire what else is there. Sometimes the non-verbals, we throw this word around about a therapist. If you break it down, it's the rapist. And not to alarm anybody, but that kind of can frighten people, knowing that there's a power dynamic that happens, and it's almost like the client is so terrified of entering therapy, which the therapist is aware of. If they've never had therapy before, it's almost like somebody opening them up and taking things out without their consent, because they don't realize what they're saying. They might be slipping things, and they really have to trust that therapist. So that whole alliance has to be tight, which is why, even though there are alternative therapies, which I will respond to the question, I always encourage people to shop around and find the best chemistry for them. Nothing's worse than being with a therapist or a therapy that you're not comfortable with, but you just feel like, oh, I just have to bear and grunt and go with it. If your gut tells you, if your body's telling you this isn't for me, then you try something else.
This book means everything to me. As much as the doctors said that it was medication and therapy that saved me, I knew for a fact that it was that book that saved me. What book is it that you believe in?
I used to read a lot of things, but there wasn't really one thing I believed in still.
You need to go deeper. There are moments that shaped your idea of right and wrong. It's called our moral compass. What are your values? How do you live?
Therapy can assist people with overcoming trauma and mental health issues, definitely. I have experienced it personally and have seen it happen professionally many times since. Therapy can help us understand ourselves better and why we behave the way we do in any given situation. It can be an enlightening process which can bring a level of self-awareness and understanding to our lives that previously may not have seemed possible.
The story of the Prodigal Monster begins when Joshua, a young man from South London, is admitted onto a psychiatric ward in the Royal Bethlehem Hospital during the time he is serving a prison sentence. Whilst he is on an acute ward, Joshua struggles to find mental stability and begins a path of slow recovery from psychosis caused by a lifetime of drug and alcohol addiction and many other forms of trauma.
So here we are at the alternative therapies. So we've got, it comes under the brand of like creative arts therapies. Creative arts therapies can consist of play therapy, drama therapy, arts therapies, and if you notice, I'm talking about the creatives. So rather than just talking about how do you feel, it's actually, well, how do you feel in a sculpt? How do you feel in a movement? How do you feel in a note, or you hear a certain song and then what emotions come up from that? You can't find the words. Okay, here's a canvas. Draw, paint, splat. What's your emotions there? And you might not even know, and it might feel a little bit awkward, but with the creative arts, it moves. Like, you can't make any mistakes, and you can have the rapport and the movement with your therapist should you choose to, if that's their modality. Or you just find that you're just in this world, and the next moment you see, wow, look what I've created, or look what I'm embodying. It's fascinating. And, you know, if we're talking about alternatives as well, there's narrative therapies, there's psychology, there's psychotherapy, there's so many different therapies out there. So it's just about finding what works for you, what's on offer. Sometimes there's taster sessions.
What is the value of restorative justice practice?
So there's huge value to all participants, really, and I think in my experience the most valuable thing is for those that have been harmed to actually have an opportunity to share how they're feeling, to ask questions that the criminal justice system just doesn't allow them to ask. So whilst they might be involved in any sort of court process, they're there as a bystander. They're not playing an active part. The questions that they want answering perhaps don't matter in terms of the criminal case, so they don't get the answers they're looking for. Their impact statement quite often isn't read out, or parts of it are read out, but again it's an opportunity to say how you feel. It's not an opportunity for the person to respond. So for a lot of people, I think the biggest value is being able to communicate and ask the questions that really matter to them. You know, why me? Why did this happen? And quite often that's what then helps with the healing process, when
when you get responses such as, I wasn't targeting you, it was just right place, right time, your property, you know, it wasn't directed at you.
I went to the shop, I bought some gum, I bumped into Shiloh, and he wore this song, we talked about Denver, and Layla too, I have some tea, let me share it with
So you never smoke a blunt before, young G?
No man, I haven't, bro.
Yo, when I was your age, I used to get up like 5 of these in one day, you know? Yeah. You know what? Eat this up, young G. This will make you feel nice. Sure. Yeah, man. That will make you feel nice, but take a look at my dimension, man. Give me that, young G. Give me that. You can't manage your thing, man. Shit.
Oh man, I can't see, man.
You're right, young G. You're right. Ah, he's out clean, bro. Yo, you're right, young G. You're right. Yo, wake up, man. You're right. Wake up, man.
What time is it?
She has nice hair.
Yo, it's like about 9 o'clock right now, you know, man. You've been knocked out like for hours straight, bro. That shit really fuck you up, innit? I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
Shit.
Oh. Shit, man. Oh, listen, yeah. This chin. I'm trying to shot, bro. What are you thinking, man?
Let me see it, man.
Nice.
Yo, this is nice, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Shit, I have to try this on right away, man. This is blinging, man. Shit. Yeah, man, this is the drip, innit, young G?
That's what I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, man, this look nice after cup it, man. So what you want for it, young G?
2K?
I got you, man. Swear? Yeah, man, like right. Say no more. Bless, man.
What do you think about the experiences of young people from South London that leads to mental health difficulties?
Well, South London is an area known for social deprivation. It's known for a lot of crime, high crime rate. It's known for drug use and alcohol use. It's known for single parenthood as well. So there's a lot of depriving factors for youth growing up in southwest London. Some of them get delusional when they take recreational drugs. Some of them confuse it with religion, and you do find a lot of people who are in mental health services because of acts they've done in the name of God or for God and reasons like that. So their mental health can play up due to religion, due to not having guidance in their life and going down the wrong paths and being led into gangs and things like that. So there's a lot of ways that their minds can get warped and tampered with as they're growing up in South London.
Like, everything is positive. Like, if you don't do drugs, like, your life is gonna be so good. Like, you won't have no problems, don't stress about nothing. Like, you're just gonna feel yourself, you feel pure. Like, there's no problems, I don't think.
I believe it's more circumstance than anything else. Like, I don't think it's a planned thing that happens most of the time. I feel like it gets introduced in a certain situation that causes people to end up doing them. Well, the more you take them, the more addicted you get. But I also believe the lack of knowledge when it comes to what it does to you plays a big part in it. Because people don't know what it actually does, so they don't think it's that bad until it ends up getting really bad.
How do you believe creative therapies impact people's lives?
I really believe that creativity in itself is the core of this question. But creative therapies give a frame and within that an opportunity for people to explore safely how to move their lives forward, perhaps in new ways or useful ways.
And how do you feel the arts are well placed for therapy-based interventions?
So it is really the opportunity to experience yourself differently in some way, to create something new, to give something a new meaning, or perhaps to shift perspective and see something from a different side, which really gives you the opportunity to experience yourself differently, to consider perhaps new ways of being in your life, and gives you the real potential to take steps.
Art, music and drama therapy are the 3 regulated arts therapies in the UK and are 3 of the 14 AHPs or allied health professions in our healthcare system. Talk therapy is so popular at the moment and can absolutely have amazing results.
Find religion, find God, like eat healthy, like, I mean, get away from the street, like drugs, alcohol, all that stuff. Don't do that. Because that's just gonna naturally make you happy. Yeah, just play games instead of going to a party. That's what I do anyways.
And how do you think mental health practice can assist people with overcoming trauma and mental health issues?
Trauma particularly is something that can sit in the body and the mind for a long time. So we know now that really addressing it and looking at the specifics of trauma held in the body can give us the opportunity to break patterns, to find new responses to the trauma. Obviously, it's not possible to undo the lived experiences, but it is possible to find new responses to those experiences and to offer yourself choices in how you can live and find new ways of living and moving forward.
Let me into the house.
No.
What do you mean no?
You're a two-timing scumbag.
We're not doing this right now. Just let me in, okay?
How dare you!
What do you mean, how dare me?
They are not going to see your upper jaw. No!
They need their dad. Stop playing around.
I said no!
Just let me into the house. See, don't be stupid.
So obviously Joshua, he had problems at home. His mum was a bit, she didn't really know what she was doing, especially when she shouted at Joshua, started hitting him, whatever. She didn't know the damage she was doing to Joshua. Obviously Joshua didn't really have his dad around, so I guess he just went to the people that he thought would comfort him and everything. So I guess those people just were into smoking, were into this. So like, if you as a young person go into a new environment, you're just gonna get comfortable in your environment. You're gonna be a product of your own environment. So I feel like that's what Joshua did, and he was a product of his environment.
Yeah, it's something that we really need, I think, to pay more attention to. I know there's quite a lot of talk about healthy body, healthy mind, and I think sometimes it's talk, and we actually have to find ways of doing that work. And I do think through mindfulness and compassion, kindness, really learning that sort of internally is of crucial importance. And I don't see the mind and the body as separate in any way. I just feel that we're all one, and so yeah, supporting one, we're supporting the other. But a focus really needs to be applied to looking at mental health services and our own mental health, and anything that we can do in small ways to support ourselves independently to build our resilience is so important. But also I think working in groups in our wider society really elicits such huge benefits, so that we feel more connected, less separate. That common humanity really shines through, and that's so important in helping us to feel supported in our mental health as we go about our daily lives.
Mental health practices, healthy mental health practices, and it's what's healthy for you might not be healthy for me. So for some people, they might say, wake up and have a positive affirmation. Well, it's really hard to find a positive affirmation if the person has flashbacks constantly of negativity or harm that's been done unto them or injustice. So it might be, okay, wake up with some form of gratitude. You woke up this morning. What worked on your body? Well, got out of bed. Okay, how did you get out of bed? And I might remind the person that, do you remember when you played football, you had that injury and you literally were in bed for like 6 weeks, do you remember? And all you could do was crawl to the toilets and back, and your mum had to do everything. But you managed to get off the bed today. And they're like, Do you remember you don't realise that injury, how much of the whole body is connected to that knee. So even if you go like that, you can feel it in your knee, like the knee, the ankle, everything is connected. So it's like really trying to find some way in as a mental health practice to help them to use it outside of the clinical setting. So they can go home and they can be right, okay, this is a mental health practice that works for me. And it might work for them, they might share it with a friend, and a friend might say, that's nonsense, like, that's not going to work for me.
My life turned me into an empty person, where my moral compass was reversed. Hatred became a way of life.
And in regards to restorative justice practice that takes place when crime has been committed by one member of a family against another, how are these situations best dealt with?
The experience of the practitioner who facilitates those cases is vital. It takes on a very different nature to other crimes because you've got people who have got a shared history, they know each other. There's inevitable power imbalances. If it's a child and a parent, for example, that power balance is always going to be there. They're always going to be your parent. You're always going to have some sort of thought in your mind that they are more powerful than you are. So all of those dynamics need to be addressed. And what a lot of the practitioners who work with families will do is spend an awful lot of time at the beginning of that process working through those power imbalances, coming up with ground rules that means that everyone's there on a neutral basis. It's not an opportunity to start having arguments and discussions about other things. We're talking about this one incident, and we might go on and talk about these other things, but let's focus on this. We also see lots of family work being done with prisons or within prisons for people who are coming out. I guess they're slightly easier to do because you don't have people living in the same property or in close proximity, so it allows those conversations to happen over a longer period of time. The other challenging thing for a facilitator is if you are working with a family who are living together, you walk away at the end of that and you then have no control over what happens when you've gone. And in most other cases, if you took that into the criminal justice system, you might work with the person who's caused harm and the harmer. They will go off to their individual homes and probably won't see each other again, or if they do, it will be back with that facilitator. You don't have that luxury if it's a family group living together. Once you walk away, anything can happen. So safety and safety planning then become far more important and upfront. So after every visit, you need to be clear that there's a plan. What happens if it goes wrong? Afterwards, who can they contact? How can they do that quickly and efficiently? So it differs a lot, but it's very beneficial, and keeping that family group together, I think, has to become at the forefront of everyone's minds, that being able to repair that relationship, whatever that might look like, but being able to accept individual roles, the harm that's caused, and allow that family group to move on, has got to be far better for those individuals than doing nothing and that family breaks up and loses that connection. And so that's the primary focus. How do we repair it so that it's manageable within home, and how do we keep everyone safe while we're doing that process?
Firstly, Rachel and Jordan send their apologies for not being able to make it this time. So we'd like to welcome you to the Recovery College Hub meeting. We'll start with some introductions. I'm Mary. I'm the lead for the Recovery College Forensic Campus.
I'm Luke. I'm a peer trainer from the Spring Ward.
I'm Justine, assistant psychologist and staff trainer on River Ward.
I'm Nick, a peer trainer from River Ward.
I'm Joshua from Effra Ward.
I'm Adam. I'm Joshua's peer mentor.
So would anyone like to introduce what the Recovery College is and the purpose of the meeting?
The Recovery College is a forum in which both service users and staff work together to deliver workshops based on lived experience to other service users and staff, both on the wards and in the community.
That's right. Thanks, Nick. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to look over the minutes from our previous meeting. We're going to have a chat about our upcoming roadshow, and then we're going to examine our new Train the Trainers course we have coming up.
Mary, if possible, Josh would like to make a suggestion.
Hi. I know you train peer trainers to deliver workshops. I have a workshop idea about violence that I would like to deliver.
That sounds really interesting. You should enroll on our Train the Trainers course and you can present your ideas then.
After some months of stay, he is transferred to a rehabilitation ward and begins to work with a peer mentor named Adam, who introduces him to therapeutic services and a reformed approach towards gaining his freedom. During their time working together, Joshua experiences mindfulness meditation, begins to write for magazines, and engages with a range of alternative therapies, including drama therapy, aromatherapy, reiki, and becomes a peer trainer delivering psychoeducational courses to service users and staff in the hospital.
Don't fight yourself or your thoughts. Don't tell yourself off. Don't shout at yourself. Give yourself a hug and know that you're good enough. There are no right or wrong ways to deal with things. There are skillful ways and unskillful ways to deal with things.
So relationships pretty much sit at the core of restorative justice, and all of the principles are designed around rebuilding, repairing relationships. In the criminal justice world, that can be quite difficult to grasp, because the person who has committed a crime against you, you perhaps haven't got a relationship with, but it does bring people together for some sort of joint understanding, and we fairly often will see that those people, you know, they're never going to become best friends and be going out, but there is a genuine caring for each other, and actually a recent one towards the end of last year. I met a guy who had taken part in a restorative process following an armed robbery. He met with the lady who worked in the shop who he'd held up, and he got into trouble after being released from prison, and his first phone call when he got back into prison was to her, to say, "I'm really, really sorry, I've messed up and I've let you down." So actually, although they're not friends, there's no relationship there, he promised her in that meeting, you know, "I will keep out of trouble." And the guilt of getting back into trouble, that was his first thought, I need to explain to her. So it brings these people together. But within families, where again we see a growing sort of use of restorative justice, it keeps that family unit together, and it allows them to build relationships that actually can overcome whatever's happened.
Well, mentors, if you are aligned with somebody that has very similar interests with you, a mentor could be a very fruitful relationship. The Recovery College is a good place to build and develop skills, get more confidence, and learn about how to approach people in a certain format.
And what about arts therapies?
Arts therapy is a very powerful tool. I believe that art is a form of expression, and it's a way to express how one is feeling, thinking, or would want to behave in some cases. So I think having a safe place and a creative way to do that can be very beneficial to a person.
I say they have more mentors in schools that can help them follow where they want to be in life instead of going to the wrong road.
Joshua's past life, including his drug and alcohol misuse, family homelessness, experiences as a young carer for his brother who has autism, and criminality are explored, and we progressively see his journey towards well-being begin to heal him from the damage of his past. As time moves on, the young man recovers and rehabilitates from both criminal behavior and psychosis, leading his mentor to suggest that he apply for a mental health tribunal to achieve discharge from his section and return to prison to avoid staying in hospital. Joshua heeds this advice and is successfully discharged of section 4749 of the Mental Health Act, and after returning to prison, moves into a hostel.
It is a really, really big part, and when you look at it in different areas, so there's lots of work that's being done in schools, and all of that work in schools is about how you build strong relationships so that when things go wrong, you've actually got some the ability to repair something that is valuable to you. So it's a huge part of it, and it will differ from person to person. You know, I don't come across many people who want to be friends with someone who's committed a crime against them. But I think once they understand the story and they understand the reason why something may have happened, there is a bond there. You know, it's a very emotional process on all parts. It's not easy. It's something that you experience together, and I think naturally that creates some sort of bond between you.
And what made you co-found Therapeutic Productions?
Had to be done. Like, I feel like I'm an ambassador for the people. And I feel like with my co-directors, we are being ambassadors for mental health, positive mental health in our local communities. We are giving back through our lived experience, our knowledge, and our advice and our therapy.
I think it really is so important that we have lived in order to be teaching mindfulness and compassion, and really every teacher that comes to do training with us has got a story, a backstory. So that's what really brings the passion around for their teaching and helps to really engage with that learning. And then when we teach to others, when we support other people, it means it really comes from the heart rather than something that a script they're reading or whatever. So I really feel like the lived experience is incredibly important and really engages and encourages other people to feel that sense of authenticity and integrity in the work that we're doing in supporting others.
Well, I think I would say it was quite spontaneous. The offered opportunity from you, Jerome, to get involved really kind of met me, and I really had a clear idea that this was a valuable project and really authentic description and practice and connection to the work was really truly inspiring. And it pulls together so many threads of what I believe in and what I practice, and really the opportunity to inspire other people to make choices, creative choices in recovery is really what my work's about. So my background is as a dancer. I come from a dance and choreographic background. I've worked in theatre and live performance. And at some point, I started to really look at how community theatre and how particular forms of theatre and dance could really support communities. And I decided to retrain as a dance and movement psychotherapist. And for the last 25 years plus, I've been working as a dance and movement psychotherapist, often collaborating with drama therapists. They are kind of like related professions in many ways. And also with music therapists, also a lot of collaboration. So yeah, I really enjoy the way that the arts come together and how that sort of integrated approach of that leads to a wider creative and making experience.
Well, look, the Prodigal Monster, during the course of its journey, we've been very fortunate to have the backing of a lot of national organisations and others. And because of that, we now have a springboard for many people's careers. I mean, there's a lot of psychiatric patients that work with us, a lot of some young offenders, some young people from disadvantaged backgrounds who work with us. And we can help their career become amplified through our service. And our service is like a vehicle for the life aspirations of other individuals. On the other side of it, what we also hope to accomplish through the partnerships that we have in the networks is to actually show the experiences of the young person from inner cities in this country and what those experiences, how do I put it, what they lead to in that person's life, and also how we can heal people who have gone through a certain journey and also stop other people going down that journey. And we hope to deliver that message. I mean, the last thing that I would say is that the Prodigal Monster is a massive trial, really. A trial of, if you go into creating art and you involve arts therapists and their interventions and delivery, is that a way of therapeutic interventions reaching people that it wouldn't usually reach? Our interventions have reached mainstream actors. Our interventions have reached council estates in Clapham, all of which don't usually get access to those kind of services. And we're a vehicle for that as well, basically.
Oh, I think it was fantastic. I've read the script and I just think it's amazing. I think it's really powerful and inspirational and absolutely so important to get this message out there that mindfulness can really be so supportive in lots and lots of different ways, and our mental health is just such a crucial part of our well-being. So yeah, it's just an incredible project and I wish you every success with it.
The Prodigal Monster project, okay, so it was around 2020 and I used to work in and out of schools. I had my own office in Uxbridge, so I would see clients face to face. I would rarely do online sessions. So I wasn't really online. Other than my website, that would be it. Then COVID happened, everyone's locked in, pandemic, so my clients had to move into the online world, which meant that I was more visible online, so my LinkedIn was a lot more active. And then Jerome Sewell kind of popped up. I think he popped up initially on LinkedIn, and I looked him up, because that's what people do. I done a little Google search, and I read an article, and I was immediately drawn in by his story, because I get a lot of hits on LinkedIn. Lots of people trying to sell, lots of people trying to get me on their podcast and all that kind of thing. I am busy, I'm busy doing the healing work, right? But there was something about Jerome that pulled me in. So anyway, we had, I told him to email me, which he did straight away. He was very prompt, very swift. I said, okay, let's have a Zoom call, 15 minutes, and let's see how I can help. And he told me his story. And yeah, I was very much pulled in by his story. It was very familiar to me. Mental health is something that is not taboo in my world. I talk very openly about it. I have mental health in my family. I've had to go to mental health wards to visit people. I also know that the wards can be very empty because lots of people are left there and families and friends give up, so no one comes to see them. And you don't understand it unless you go through it, because there's trauma based on the patient inside, but also the sister, the brother, the uncle, the mum, the dad having to go all the time and see their loved one in such a state and they can't do anything to help them. So that's what pulled me in, his recovery, his story, his passion. And yeah, he didn't need to really sell it to me. I was just like, what do you need me to do? Yeah.
It wasn't the project I signed up for. it was when you approached me, I wasn't sure what to expect, and the way that it was brought to me was the way it was a way of filming a therapy session, you know, over a period of weeks, I think. And that's it, that appealed to me because that was the therapy film, you know. And then over time, the Prodigal Monster came up, and then there was the script and everything else. And I thought, oh, that. And it kind of really touched something inside me. I thought, yeah, this is really, really cool. And I think it's an amazing project. I think you've done tremendously well. And I'm just really proud to call you a friend. It's just fantastic. You know, you've done so much for young people, and for the whole treatment, further treatment, and unique type of treatment for trauma.
Did you win the fight? It's better that you die fighting than just die.
There's vulnerability, like, seeing at school, I mean, like, he didn't really have friends like that, like, even if he did, like, when he went, for example, when he went out to the playground, like, there was no one there to really, like, there wasn't anyone to back him, like, when he pulled the hammer out or whatever, so, like, he didn't really have anyone there to really say, oh, chill out, what are you doing, blah, 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 so, nah, I don't think he had that support.
For us, restorative justice, it's actually become very popular in the media, and in some respects that's very good because it does raise awareness, but it raises awareness of the final part of a process, and actually I think when we first started talking, what I liked about what you were doing is it's talking about the process. It's not just looking at the nice highlight bits that will look good for a couple of minutes in a TV program. So for us, the important bit is that, you know, that is the end goal, but there's a lot of work that goes in before that. All of the preparation that's done, it's not a quick fix, and quite often in the media that's how it's portrayed. You know, I want to go and meet the person who has harmed me, and in the next scene we're sat in a meeting and we're doing that. Does not give an accurate portrayal of how people are prepared. So although it raises awareness, it could also put a lot of people off, because what if I'm not ready to do that? Well, actually that could in reality be a year, 2 years, 3 years before that happens. So that was very important to us, and in all of the conversations we've had and all of the briefs that you've sent, what I've really liked about not just the RJ but all of those sessions is that you're focusing on what the whole process is, you're focusing on the impact that it has, and quite often we don't hear a lot about impact. We hear about, you know, we took part in this intervention or that intervention, but there's very little then of going back and what did that actually mean? How has it helped you move on? And that, I think, is the important bit about what you're trying to achieve, is it's showing it in its true form, that it isn't a quick fix. It's not something that you're going to just pick up and do tomorrow. It's time consuming, it takes dedication. There's going to be ups and downs, there's, you know, frustrations, but ultimately the end goal is then worth it. So for us, that will be the valuable bit, and the sector will appreciate that as well, that it actually showcases the amount of work that they put in, and it isn't just the 2 minutes of glory at the end when everyone hugs and says it's, you know, what a fantastic process that was. It's all of the hard work that gets to that point in actually getting people together.
Hello Mike, you're looking well.
Oh, thanks Jenny.
So, this is quite a complex case. Take me through it.
Well, this is a complex one, to be fair. We have a case of domestic abuse, revenge, estrangement, and a manner of family matters outside of this.
Ooh. You know, in your 20 years working for this organisation, I don't think you brought me anything that complex. I think you better start from page 1 and take me through it.
Well, it appears that a young man has been working with his peer support mentor whilst being in hospital, but it later turned out that he, the peer worker, is this young man's estranged father who used to abuse his mother in the past. It reached to the point where the young man found out and was not happy, naturally, about all of this.
So you're saying that the peer mentor and the mother were in a relationship?
Yes.
How long and what type of relationship?
According to the accounts I've received, they were long-term partners.
Right. Was there any sexual abuse involved?
Not from what I can discern. It seems to have been a result of mental health instability and mostly violent in nature, but still, the fact that this has happened to the young man's mother is the sensitive part of it.
And the peer mentor, has he been shirking responsibility, denying, either historical or not?
It seems very much so. He's based his entire career on rehabilitation and admissions of wrongdoing in the past, something he strived to set right by helping others, but I am due to speak to him soon.
And how true do we believe this to be?
He seems to be the type of practitioner that is growing more and more in our society, a positive in my book, Jenny.
What's the impact on the mother? Because as a woman I can tell you this kind of thing can have a unique effect. I mean, what have you learned?
Well, this is the hardest part of the case. From the information I've received from the probation service, the young man's mother underwent depression and long-term neglect on herself, which could be attributed to a past abuse. It's still unknown if the effect of this is still felt.
And this is the thing about restorative justice, it's the cost of risk. Well, I think you have the experience and the skill set to deal with this, so contact the clients, see how far it goes. But separate out the damage and work with the father and the son and the work with the mother. If the mother does get involved, that'll be 2 separate cases. You'll need to vet them all individually and shuttle between them. You'll need to work out a risk assessment between the father and the son. Yes, you'll need to work out how to arrange a restorative meeting if it's possible.
No, thank you for that. I mean, I'm a big believer in mentorship. I've had mentors across the course of my whole life. I honestly say that I wouldn't have ended up with my life journey being a positive one in the end if it wasn't for those mentors. They sowed the seeds which made me become what I needed to become in the future. And when you're in a place where you're quite lost, mentors can find you and help you. Now, a lot of people in prisons, in psychiatric hospitals, in other places, find themselves in a very lost state in just different ways. And access to mentorship and to people who ultimately are about supporting them and building a relationship with them can take them forward in their journeys to become who they were always meant to become, just like I became who I was meant to become. I believe that it helps many people. Recovery colleges, great institutions. The idea that you can become a lived experience practitioner, someone who uses your experience of damaging things in life, or positive sometimes, to help others basically, and to also do that in a professional capacity, allows you to redefine who you are if you're in a prison or you're in that kind of environment. Because effectively, you sit there with staff members and others as a member of that team whose values and experiences are worth as much as any professional in front of you, who may be qualified. The last thing that you mentioned is about the arts therapies. Now, I had a lot of experiences with different therapies. I've had experiences with drama therapy and mindfulness and many other different types. For me, writing is my form of expression. It's the way I heal. It's the way that I grow. And I believe strongly in what they call narrative therapy, the idea that storytelling is a fundamental part of who we are. I mean, narrative therapy is usually based on the notion, some would say, that you are the stories that you tell yourself and you are the stories other people tell about you. And the arts allow people to own their own stories, create their own stories through that kind of medium of explosive brain activity that creativity embodies itself.
I think mentors play a key role in recovery because they are the guiding, like, forefather, so to speak, of the recovering mental health service users. They're the ones that guide them back along the right path, guide them through their stay in hospital, and once they get out, there's someone to turn to as a role model and a leader type personality.
And what about, you know, the role of the arts therapies?
Art therapies are great because I've had experience with mental health. So I know that when I was away, I was doing a lot of music. Music kept me going. When you're alone in your room and you've got no one to speak to, you can always put on that radio. You can put on that CD. You can put on that MP3. You can unwind. You can release your stress. Also, when you're making music, for example, I'm just saying music for an example, there's also art, drama, and dance. So yeah, so when you're making music, it gives you a way of expressing your feelings in a way that you wouldn't have to express yourself normally. It empowers you as well in a situation where you become powerless. It gives you self-esteem and confidence and aids your recovery by doing this aforementioned things.
Listen, I'm not here for beef. I've had to think about this, yeah? What hurts me the most is that you were so important to me, changing my life. But I accept that you had a past that hurt my family. And at the same time, I accept that you were one of the most important factors in my rehabilitation.
Look, I agree with you. But I have to accept all the evil I committed against your mother a long time ago. But at least I can live with the fact knowing that I helped you.
From what I'm hearing from both of your perspectives, you can resolve this. I would like to offer you both an option. Would you like to take the next steps of rebuilding this relationship?
Yeah, I can do that, and I would like to work on that.
Okay, I'm happy for the sessions to continue, so you can start to build this new relationship. Perhaps not as client and worker or friend, but as father and son.
Well, we really need mental health services, don't we? And yeah, I think they're absolutely imperative. You know, we know the statistics about suicide rates and the decline in mental health as a result of COVID and one thing and another, and they're absolutely essential. And yeah, we need to put as much money, time, effort and energy into those services. So yeah.
I think it's an alternative. I don't like to use the word alternative because that can give the impression it's other things. Alternative therapies are normally things like acupuncture and that sort of thing, you know, the health, kind of health food stuff. It's an but it is an alternative way of treating people. I work with young people particularly. And it is an alternative way of talking, an alternative way of communicating. Not everybody likes to talk to someone. I've got clients who are almost non-verbal, you know, and that is just. And I'm a drama therapist, and drama therapy is just a unique way of communicating. I use all sorts of things in my sessions with young people. I like to use voice. And it's the impact of the inner story we have. We all have a drama that we hold within us, and it's a way of externalizing that drama so the client can then see and how they respond to the world and how the world responds to them.
A lot of the times, if you can't control yourself, it will end up bad. Because sometimes having control over what your actions are it plays a big part in where your life ends up.
Yeah, I can't lie. From what you can see, he was closed up about it. Like, he didn't really, like, he didn't talk to anyone about it. Like, he couldn't anyway. Like, I feel like even if he told his older guy, they'll just start laughing at him. Like, he couldn't tell his younger siblings, couldn't tell his mum. So yeah, there was nothing he could really do. Yeah, like when my man went to school with a hammer, like it looked serious, but could have been any other weapon but a hammer. But like, you know what I mean? Like still, he used what he got. He was clearly angry. I just took it from his jaw. So yeah, he clearly wanted to do something with it.
Feeling haunted, I'm feeling nauseous. I'm feeling tired, I feel exhausted. Not a wink of sleep, I was up to the morning. Wiping my eyes, now I'm yawning. The govs came and asked for shower time. Mind racing, body feels paralyzed. Every angle got analysed. I trust no one, they're all parasites. I told the imam that I made some mistakes. He said everyone does, don't lose faith if you change. I said something mad, that's the demons again. Warden always gave me grief, I threw the plate in her face. Batten on my neck, now getting restrained. Just the other day, I was getting off a plane to the seg, what a mess, then back to my cell. Prison's one place that is similar to hell. Some can't take the pressure, so they're singing like Adele. Singing like Estelle, funny man like Chappelle. Get caught red-handed, better ride that L plate. More than 2 convictions, don't apply for a bail date. Keep it frank, you'll be wasting your time. Little video link so the judge can decline. Grab a book, scrap the pages and light it. Covers over my head, the smoke can't get inside it. Maybe it can, my chest feeling tight-ish. Hit the bell, govs running in with water hoses. Nearly never made it, it was kinda close-ish. Have you ever had that feeling when you feel broken? I spent 2 days in a holding cell. They said when I'm going back, it won't be jail. Put me in the car, I saw the hospital gates. I was like raw, heart racing fast.